Hello everyone. I am enjoying a lovely bath this morning. Uh, gonna be doing my sadhana, my meditation, my kind of daily um, time for myself to relax, reflect on my thoughts, and just experience savasana, or dynamic stillness, for a little while. A little light meditation. This afternoon, I am going to yoga at Anchorage Yoga and Cycle for the deep stretching. So I haven't done it yet. I'm excited about that. Hopefully, it's not too difficult because my body still hurts and it's in pain from yesterday. But yeah, uh, just wanted to share another experience that I've had during meditation. And this experience happened, I don't know, like 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. And I believe that I had opened, as funny as this may sound to some of you, I opened my third eye. And the way I did this was with basically what I talked about in my previous video, with being able to observe my own thoughts, being able to do an ego check on my thoughts and on the ideas and the concepts that came into my mind. And during this experience, my body moved on its own without me consciously moving it, or at least I don't remember consciously moving it. I was in a meditative state and I was aware, but I was in this observative mode and contemplating lots of different things. It started off, I had this blue and purple these two blue and purple entities walking towards me in a distance in my mind's eye. And they were, actually photoshopped a picture of it and put it on my profile pic here and my Instagram. But they were holding hands and they were coming towards me, so I knew they were probably a couple. It seemed like the blue figure was more masculine and the purple figure more feminine. And I didn't really get much of a feeling other than they came to me, and I had this sense to show gratitude and thank them for visiting me on this meditation journey, I guess. And they kind of went out of my vision, out of my thought after I saw them. But I felt them with me. I could feel just a good vibe surrounding me after I saw them. And then my mind started wandering. At some point, my hands formed a prayer, together, like this. At some point, and I became aware that my hands were together, but my whole body was numb. I was in such a deep meditative state, and observing my thoughts and just kind of thinking in general. And all of a sudden, it was like this download of information came to me, that basically we, as human people, a species, we are all beings of light. We are all just using this body as a lens, per se, to experience this plane of existence, to learn something. I think it's a way to learn our emotions, to have these experiences, to grow as our consciousness grows. And when I say consciousness, I believe our consciousness is separated from our physical body, that our physical body literally is just a vessel for our soul or our consciousness or whatever you want to call it. And I had this realization and this information of download kind of come to me that we are constantly using our experiences on this planet. Everything we go through individually is only our own reality's perception. And we form these experiences and we share them with each other. And we share them by many means. We create a language, not just individual languages with words and writing, but languages based on our art, our music, the things we create. This can be a big one is the internet is a huge benefit to humankind to share information and to share experiences and to share what one person on the other side of the planet is going through, or something fun and exciting in their life with another person. So everything we do, everything we create, I realized is a way to form language, a way to share experiences and get information across. I had, just like in our human brain, you know, one part of the brain will signal another part of the brain and share information, just like a network topology. One node or a router or whatever, one router, one computer will communicate with another router or another computer, and it does that by means of a pathway. Well, what I'm realizing is that we as a species, or all species, do the same thing. Us being intelligent, sentient beings, we share these not so much with a direct pathway, but our pathway is our creativity, our means to get information across. You know, in the past we did it by ship. You know, we did it by bird. We relied on the birds to communicate by sending letters and training them. Now we're using internet, and we're traveling physically with planes, and still using boats and trains and cars, and using our ability to create and our ability to experience to form this language to share with one another. And in that relation, I think it's just a really neat concept to think about it, that everything we do is our own way of creating a language. And so I realized that. I came to that realization. I also had a thought that in that way, we are kind of a group mind. I don't know if you've been familiar with Star Trek and the Borg, but the Borg are a hive mind or group mind species that when one experiences something, the rest of them experience the same insight and knowledge. So in that way, we are, by means of our creativity and the language and the tools and everything we do to share experiences, we create a group mind. Now, it's not instantaneously typically, but as we become more efficient and as technology grows, I believe it will be a more instantaneous form of sharing information. And who knows, we might even evolve to have telepathy or sharing information like that. You know, with there's already lots of proof in Sixth Sense and being able to know when something's happened to a friend or loved one that you feel really connected to in the moment. Like you get a sense. A lot of people tend to get a sense of awareness that is inexplainable to at least Western science. And So who knows, we may be able to evolve to be more efficient in communication, but for now we're using our creativity, our technology, and just kind of sharing our experiences with one another. I also had a realization during this meditation that all species work to form their own kind of group mind in sharing experiences. And as a planet, we kind of have our own awareness, our own energy that we put back out into the universe through our thoughts, our creativity, and through what we create. I mean, think about atomic bombs. You know, when we set off atomic bombs, that's a massive amount of energy that gets sent outside of our solar system, and that's things that we've created. So whether it be thoughts or technology or science, we're putting energy back into the universe. Whether or not something can pick up on that, is beyond me. But we have sent signals, radio frequency signals, into outer space, looking for alien life. We have sent ships, physical ships, and now we're going to Mars. So it's unbelievable, almost, what the human mind is capable of. And as a collective species, we are sharing this insight and documenting it. And the next generation will take that information, learn the basic concepts, and be able to grow with that information. Just in my lifetime, I have noticed that the previous generation before me did everything mostly on paper or with basic calculators. When I went to school, I had graphing calculators. Graphing calculators came out. So we were able to do a lot more faster without necessarily having to know how to do it. And not saying that it's not a good thing to be able to know how to do it, but we were able to have shortcuts. And those shortcuts allow us to get more done in the time we're given on this planet. So as we build on the previous generation's knowledge, using their technology and their methods and their scientific discoveries, we're becoming more efficient, and we're using that knowledge and that insight to build upon. Nowadays, when I was going to school, computers were kind of just coming out there. Not a lot of people were very good with computers. Nowadays, computers, everyone has one in their hand, and they're very user-friendly. Kids are learning them at a ridiculously young age, and I think there's good and bad to that. I think that it's very good for them to learn these tools and some of these applications and games that teach some of the fundamentals, as well as sharing, learning to share experiences, and learning to communicate with others online and build friendships and stuff with people all over the world. That's great. I think that a lot of kids nowadays, and I don't have kids yet, but from what I've seen from other of my coworkers and friends, their kids, a lot of kids, they don't, they're still very impressionable. They only do what they like. So it takes the parents to be able to help guide children to to have an acceptable amount of time, so that it doesn't become an addictive thing. I know my parents had a heck of a time trying to get me off game systems. I spent a lot of time playing outside with kids, but once I got into computers and game systems, I spent a lot of time socializing on video games. I spent on Halo and Xbox Live and BattleNet, World of Warcraft. I spent a lot of time doing that type of stuff as a teenager and child. But I also spent a lot of time outside. And it seems like there's more people spending time inside instead of outside. And that puts a disconnect from us and our planet, I believe. So it takes the parents to help guide the children, to make sure that they're they learn to be appreciative. They learn to do things in moderation and not let one activity consume them. I think everything is good in moderation, from food and food and other addictive things, game systems, even playing outside. Too much of anything is typically a not so good thing, because then you don't learn perspective, you don't learn new experiences, and this whole entire world is about learning experiences. And I think it takes that curiosity and that mindset to be able to really understand that. I've always been very curious. A lot of the time I spend on my computer late at night, I'm always researching something about computers, and I still do it to this day, but not so much into technology anymore. I'm spreading, I guess, my knowledge foundation to other aspects, into health, spirituality, meditation, yoga, different types of knowledge from ancient days to today. I like to stay well-rounded. I'm not a master in anything. I don't like to proclaim, but I do let my curiosity take control and guide me to where I want to go and what I want to learn. So, yeah, it was a beautiful experience, and all these realizations kind of compounded. I thought of our planet as a consciousness, or our species as a consciousness, our planet as a consciousness, our galaxy as an even higher level of consciousness, and our universe as another form of universal consciousness. And given some of the insight that we already have, and we've learned that the law of probability states that if there is one universe, there's probably another. So if there's one dimension, there's probably another. And what's cool to think about is that if our entire universe is all energy, I mean, all matter, everything breaks down into energy. Even voided space, there is energy within voided space. We have antimatter and matter, gravity waves. Everything is putting off energy. If our entire universe is made of energy, and it is a single universal consciousness of everything sharing energy or experience with each other, even rocks, or just in planets in general, then and if there's other universal consciousnesses, it just lets you see the grand scheme of things. When I realized that, when I had that idea, I felt the analogy I came up with, which analogy is another way to share experiences. The analogy I came up with was that I felt like a white blood cell in a larger body. I felt very insignificant, but at the same time, I had my own role to play, and I think we all have our own roles to play, and as a planet, we have our own role to play in this universe. So we have to heal ourselves, we have to heal our planet, we have to show humbleness, we have to show thankfulness, and we have to show gratitude, I believe, to be able to put out the right kind of energy so that we can do our part and play our role as a planet. So yeah, after that happened, after that download of information and insight, whether correct or not, I kind of went into an even deeper trance. I noticed my hands were together that entire time, and then my head was tilted back. I felt like my eyes were rolled in the back of my head, and I was just observing still. I believe I could have came out of it if I wanted to, but I was just observing. I was so fascinated and curious with the experience. And my eyes rolled into the back of my head, and my eyes were open too. I didn't notice they were open until I noticed, and they were wide open, as wide as they can be, but I felt like they were in the back of my head, or like looking up, and my head was tilted back, and my chest was up, and I was able to see, but everything was in a blur, and there was like an overlay on top of my vision, an overlay of, I felt like the Avatar. I don't know if you've seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, but I felt like the Avatar. I felt this, like something was guiding my body, but I was still aware and in control. And I walked around my room like a zombie. I remember that, but it was just very interesting. So take what you want from it, and I hope you all have a good day. Bye for now.